Long ago and far away, in enchanted lands across the seas, lived kings and queens, princes and princesses, good fairies and wicked witches, ferocious giants and gentle dwarfs. Their adventures and stories have been told for hundreds of years. Open the pages and listen to the words, and you too can join the magical world of Once Upon a Time. The Brave Little Tailor. Once upon a time, there was a tailor. He was often so busy making and mending that he didn't have time to sit down to a proper meal. One afternoon, he prepared his favorite treat, plum jam on a large slice of bread. Unfortunately, this was also a favorite with the flies that were buzzing about on this hot summer's day. At first, the tailor was so busy sewing that he didn't notice how many flies had settled on the jam. He was furious when he saw them all there. "Out of here!" shouted the tailor, and he swiped them with his napkin. When he lifted the napkin away, 7 flies lay dead. "7 with one blow," he said to himself. "What a hero I am!" He was so pleased with himself that he put his needle and thread aside and marched off into town to buy himself a sword. Then, with his shiny new sword in his hand, he ran along the streets shouting, "I've killed 7 with one blow!"
Did you hear that? 7 with one blow!
The townsfolk backed into shops and hid up alleyways when they realized what he was saying. Everyone thought the tailor had killed 7 men with a blow of his sword, and they feared for their lives.
7 with one blow!
The little tailor was so proud of himself that he prepared a special picnic lunch and went off to the forest. Once he was there, he climbed to the top of a hill. A giant was standing right in front of him.
"Hello, my friend,"
said the giant.
"What's a little fellow like you doing in these parts? This is the land of giants."
"Well, I've already killed 7 with one blow, and now I'm looking for more excitement and adventure," the little hero told him.
"A little fellow like him has killed 7 men? I can hardly believe it,"
thought the giant, and he laughed so loudly that the whole forest shook and all the birds flew out of the trees.
"All right, if you're as brave as you say, prove your strength to me,"
said the giant. And the giant picked up a huge boulder and squeezed it in his great big fist until a few drops of water came out. Not to be outdone, the tailor took a lump of cheese out of his pocket and squeezed it until drops of whey oozed out. "Pretty good, eh?" said the cheeky tailor. The giant didn't know he had squeezed a piece of cheese.
"You are a strong little fellow,"
he said. Next, the giant picked up another large boulder.
"What's this?"
he said, and he threw it so high that it seemed to disappear into the clouds.
"You won't beat that,"
he said. "Not bad," said the tailor. The tailor took a pigeon out of his pocket and tossed her into the air. Straight away she flapped her wings and flew high into the sky.
"What a clever fellow you are,"
said the giant. "Can I set you a task now?" said the tailor.
"All right,"
said the giant. So the little hero led him deep into the forest. After walking for some time, a fallen tree blocked their path. "What an enormous oak tree," said the tailor. "Let's see if we can drag it along the forest together. You carry the trunk, and I'll take the branches." The giant was willing to accept any challenge, so he picked the tree trunk up while the little tailor sat happily in its branches. "I'm enjoying the ride," the tailor thought to himself as he was being carried along. The giant was doing all the work, but he didn't know it. He puffed and panted while the crafty tailor sang a merry little song.
"Look, everybody, I'm carrying this tree. Look, everybody, I'm stronger than he."
"Phew! I must stop for a minute,
said the giant, mopping his brow. And when he stopped and turned round, the tailor leapt out of the branches. The giant was puzzled.
I just can't understand how he carried it so easily.
When they had both rested for a while, they carried on until they came to a beautiful cherry tree. The hungry giant pulled down one of its branches and picked a handful of cherries.
They're just ripe,
he said as he handed the branch to the tailor. But the little fellow couldn't keep a hold on the branch, and as it sprung out of his hands, it catapulted him high into the air. The little tailor was enjoying this. "Whee!" he cried as he rose higher and higher.
My, you are a weedy little fellow after all,
said the giant.
You can't even hold a thin branch down.
I let go of the branch on purpose, said the little tailor. Look, can't you see that hunter over there with the gun? He was just about to shoot at the bush where you're standing. I leapt out of the way to avoid getting shot. You'd better move out of the way too, if you value your life. Without hesitation, the giant took a flying leap over the cherry tree, but the clumsy fellow didn't quite make it.
Help me, I'm stuck,
he cried, and the giant was left with his 2 legs dangling beneath the branches of the cherry tree. Oh, you do look funny, laughed the tailor, as the giant struggled to get out of the tree. When the giant had his feet planted firmly on the ground once again, he spoke to the little fellow.
How would you like to rest at my house?
He said. Well, it has been rather a busy day, and I am rather tired, said the tailor, so I'll be happy to accept your kind offer. The giant's home was a large cave, and when they both arrived there, they were greeted by the other giant who shared it with him.
Hello? Oh, good company.
After a hearty supper, the second giant showed the tailor to his huge bed.
You'll be comfortable here,
he said.
Good night.
The little tailor didn't really trust the giants, and as soon as he was out of the room, he crept into a corner of the cave and fell asleep there. In the middle of the night, the first giant crept back into the room. He was carrying a huge iron bar. The clever little tailor had stuffed the bed full of pillows, so the giant thought he was still there. With several mighty blows, the giant smashed the bed to pieces.
That's the end of you, you little upstart. You won't show me up anymore,
he bellowed. The next morning, the 2 giants went for their morning stroll in the forest. As they walked, they heard little footsteps behind them. What a shock they had when they turned round. It was the brave little tailor.
Look, it's him!
He can't have survived that beating,
cried the giants, and they were both so surprised and frightened that they ran away as fast as they could.
Get out of here!
It's time to turn over to side 2.